The story of modern Iran and its fraught relationship with the West begins during World War II. Iran, led by Reza Shah Pahlavi, tried to balance the influence of Britain and the Soviet Union by courting Germany. This gamble backfired when Britain and the Soviets invaded in 1941, ousting Reza Shah and installing his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, as a more compliant ruler. Iran became a crucial supply route for the Allies, but its sovereignty was compromised. The British controlled Iran's oil through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, reaping profits while Iranians saw little benefit. After the war, the United States emerged as a new power in Iran, seeing it as both an oil source and a bulwark against Soviet expansion. The Shah embraced the West, seeking American support to modernize Iran and secure his rule. But this alliance was unequal. For U.S. leaders, Iran was a Cold War pawn. The Shah's vision of a modern, westernized Iran clashed with deep-rooted traditions and left many Iranians feeling alienated. Ordinary Iranians saw their resources exploited and their future decided in foreign capitals. Resentment simmered as the Shah grew more dependent on the West. The partnership ignored Iran's history and culture, sowing seeds of future conflict. Many felt their voices were ignored, their country's destiny hijacked by elites and outsiders. The growing anger was waiting for a leader to channel it. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation. The alliance between Iran and the West, built on oil and strategy, would soon face a reckoning. Beneath the surface, a quiet fury was building. The story of modern Iran was only just beginning. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the new Shah, inherited a throne but not his father's authority. His rule was challenged by Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who nationalized Iran's oil, defying Britain and the West. Mossadegh's move made him a national hero, but a Western enemy. Britain, furious, enlisted the U.S. to help orchestrate a coup. In 1953, the CIA and British intelligence overthrew Mossadegh, restoring the Shah's absolute power. Iran's brief democracy was crushed, and the Shah's legitimacy was forever tainted. Backed by America, the Shah launched the White Revolution, modernizing infrastructure, expanding education, and granting women the vote. Oil wealth fueled rapid growth, and Iran's military became a regional powerhouse, but modernization was uneven, creating a westernized elite while leaving many behind. The Shah's reforms angered the Shia clergy, who saw them as an assault on Islam and tradition. To maintain control, the Shah relied on the feared Savak, trained by the CIA and Mossad, to crush dissent. Thousands were imprisoned or killed. Fear permeated society. The glittering facade of progress masked deep unrest. The Shah's vision of a modern Iran was built on repression and foreign support. The divide between rulers and ruled grew ever wider. The seeds of revolution were taking root. Iran's future would not be decided by palaces or parliaments, but by the people. The West's dream for Iran was becoming a nightmare. The countdown to upheaval had begun. The world would soon witness the consequences. While the Shah pushed westernization, a powerful resistance was rising from Iran's mosques and seminaries. At its heart was Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a cleric who saw the Shah's reforms as cultural poison, what he called West-oxification. Khomeini's opposition was both religious and fiercely nationalistic. He denounced the Shah as a U.S. puppet and condemned the special privileges granted to Americans in Iran. In 1964, Khomeini's fiery sermons led to his arrest and exile, but this only amplified his influence. From exile, Khomeini developed the idea of Velayat-e-Faqih, rule by Islamic jurists, directly challenging the monarchy. His message spread through smuggled cassette tapes, inspiring the poor, merchants, students, and intellectuals alike. Khomeini became a symbol of resistance, connecting with Iranians alienated by the Shah's regime. His words ignited a slow-burning fuse of discontent. The revolution's true power was not in politics, but in the hearts of the people. Khomeini's vision offered an alternative to Western domination and royal repression. The movement was growing, unstoppable and underground. The Shah's grip was slipping, the fuse was burning toward an explosion. Iran was on the brink of transformation. By the late 1970s, Iran was a nation on edge. Economic inequality soared and the Shah's autocracy deepened as he battled illness and isolation. The Savak's brutality only fueled public anger. Khomeini's message, spread through underground networks, resonated with millions. The revolution ignited in 1978 after a government newspaper insulted Khomeini, sparking deadly protests in Qom. Each crackdown led to more mourning, more protests, and more martyrs. The cycle of violence spread nationwide, uniting Iranians against the Shah. The Shah wavered between concessions and repression, but the people demanded his ouster. In September 1978, Black Friday saw hundreds killed in Tehran, ending any hope of compromise. Protests swelled to millions, the monarchy's days were numbered. In January 1979, the Shah fled Iran, leaving a power vacuum. 2 weeks later, Khomeini returned from exile to a hero's welcome. The monarchy was swiftly abolished and the Islamic Republic declared. A 2500-year-old dynasty fell, toppled by a popular revolution. The world watched in shock as Iran transformed overnight. The West lost a key ally. A new era had begun. The revolution was not just political, it was a cultural and spiritual upheaval. Iran's destiny was now in the hands of its people. The consequences would reverberate far beyond its borders. The Islamic Republic was born from the ashes of empire. The Iranian Revolution replaced a pro-Western monarchy with a fiercely anti-American regime. Khomeini branded the U.S. the Great Satan, blaming it for Iran's past oppression. In November 1979, student militants stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 Americans hostage. The crisis lasted 444 days, paralyzing the Carter administration and fueling American outrage. A failed rescue mission deepened the humiliation. For Iran, the embassy seizure was a defiant stand against foreign domination. Khomeini used the crisis to consolidate power and purge moderates. Diplomatic ties were severed. Enmity became official policy. The hostage crisis left a legacy of mistrust and bitterness. The events of 1979 defined U.S.-Iran relations for decades. The wounds of betrayal and humiliation would not heal easily. In 1980, Iraq's Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, hoping to exploit its post-revolution weakness. The Iran-Iraq War became a brutal 8-year conflict with massive casualties and chemical weapons attacks. The world, including the U.S. and Gulf states, backed Iraq, leaving Iran isolated. The war forged a generation of Iranian hardliners and deepened distrust of the West. Iran's leaders concluded they could rely only on themselves for security. During the war, Iran revived its nuclear ambitions, seeing the bomb as a deterrent against future threats. The nuclear quest became a matter of survival. The war's trauma shaped Iran's worldview, self-reliance, suspicion, and the pursuit of ultimate security. The seeds of Iran's nuclear program were sown in blood and betrayal. The world would soon confront the consequences. Iran's isolation would drive it further down the nuclear path. The scars of war would define its future. The quest for security would never end. After the war, Iran quietly rebuilt its nuclear program, aided by clandestine networks. In 2002, secret nuclear sites were exposed, triggering an international crisis. The U.S. and its allies accused Iran of seeking a bomb, leading to crippling sanctions targeting oil, banking, and trade. Sanctions devastated Iran's economy, fueling internal debate between hardliners and moderates. Moderates, led by President Rouhani, sought a diplomatic solution to end Iran's isolation. Years of tense negotiations followed between Iran and world powers. The nuclear issue became a test of wills, pressure versus diplomacy. Iran's right to nuclear technology clashed with global fears of proliferation. The standoff would reshape the region's future. The world watched as Iran's fate hung in the balance. The stakes could not be higher, the outcome would echo for generations. The next chapter was about to unfold. In 2015, Iran and world powers struck the nuclear deal, limiting Iran's program in exchange for sanctions relief. Supporters hailed it as a diplomatic triumph. Critics, especially in Israel and the U.S., called it dangerously weak. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu warned the deal would empower Iran and threaten regional security. In 2018, President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the deal, reimposing harsh sanctions. Iran responded by breaching the deal's limits, escalating tensions. In 2020, the U.S. assassinated Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top general, bringing the two countries to the brink of war. The collapse of the deal reignited old hostilities. Trust was shattered. Confrontation seemed inevitable. The nuclear question was more urgent than ever. The world braced for the fallout. The cycle of pressure and defiance continued. The shadow of conflict loomed large. The future remained uncertain. After the nuclear deal's collapse, Iran accelerated its program, alarming the world. Hardliners now dominate Iran's leadership, deepening mistrust with the West. Israel views a nuclear Iran as an existential threat, responding with sabotage and covert attacks. For the US, the loss of the Shah and the 1979 hostage crisis created a narrative of enmity. Iran's revolutionary ideology and regional ambitions make it a unique rival. Unlike other states, Iran combines hostile intent with nuclear capability. The conflict is a clash of worldviews, not just interests. For over 4 decades, the standoff has endured. The story of Iran and the West is one of betrayal, resistance, and unresolved tension. The world still waits for resolution.